How Successful People Think by John C. Maxwell. There's a haunting quote from Adolf Hitler that's always stayed with me. He once said, "What luck for rulers that men do not think." Let that sink in for a second. History's worst tyrants didn't fear weapons or uprisings nearly as much as they feared something far simpler, someone who thinks for themselves. Because a thinking person can't be easily controlled, manipulated, or fooled. Sure, someone who knows how to do something might always find work, but the person who understands the why behind it, that person becomes the boss. For 4 decades, leadership guru John C. Maxwell studied the world's most successful people. He examined leaders, innovators, artists, and entrepreneurs from every corner of life. These people were incredibly diverse in their backgrounds, industries, and personalities. Yet they all shared one crucial trait, just one. It wasn't their degrees, their bank accounts, or who they knew. It was the way they thought. That's the secret ingredient. What separates those who succeed from those who don't comes down to the quality of their thinking. And here's the exciting part, the part that should give you hope. This is something you can actually learn. In his elegantly straightforward book, How Successful People Think, which has touched millions of lives, Maxwell makes a powerful promise. Change your thinking, and you'll change your life. This isn't just feel-good motivation. It's a practical blueprint you can follow. So today, we're going beyond a simple book summary. We're unlocking that blueprint together. By the time we're done, you'll understand the invisible force that powers success, and you'll have the tools to build that force within yourself. We'll discover how to see what others miss when they're stuck in the weeds, how to find answers when everyone else hits a wall, and how to create a meaningful life instead of just a busy one. Consider this your invitation to stop being a passenger in your own story and start becoming its architect. And it all starts with one simple, powerful decision, the choice to truly think. Most of us drift through life assuming that thinking just happens automatically, like breathing. We have thoughts bubbling up constantly, sure, thousands every single day. But are we genuinely thinking, or are we simply reacting? Are we walking mental paths that someone else paved for us long ago? Maxwell suggests that for most people, we're doing exactly that. We fall into what he calls popular thinking. It's the easiest route, the comfortable one. It's nodding along with the crowd, doing what's always been done. The trouble with popular thinking is that it doesn't actually require thinking at all. You're just following the herd. And when you follow the herd, guess where you end up? In the same overcrowded, ordinary field as everyone else. Mediocrity is a steep price to pay for comfort. Picture this. A physics teacher lines up high school students to view a planet through a telescope. One by one, they peek through and claim they can see it, just as expected. But when the last student looks and admits, "I can't see anything, it's completely dark," the teacher gets frustrated. He grabs the telescope himself, only to discover the truth. The lens cap was still on the whole time. 40 students before had pretended to see something that wasn't even there, just to avoid standing out. They chose popular thinking, even when it meant lying to themselves. Breaking free from that pattern is your first step. It takes courage to question what everyone accepts, to ask why. Why do we do things this way? Could there be something better? This isn't about rebelling just to rebel. It's about becoming a builder. You can't construct something new if you're only willing to use yesterday's blueprints. Once you've stepped off that well-worn path, your next move is to zoom way out. Maxwell calls this big picture thinking. Most of us live life peering through a microscope. We're fixated on the immediate task, the pressing email, the looming deadline. We get so tangled up in details that we lose sight of where we're actually going. Big picture thinkers, though, they grab a telescope instead. They see the entire journey ahead. They recognize that today's challenge, whether it's a difficult course, a tedious job, or a personal struggle, is just one chapter in a much longer story. Think about the difference between laying bricks and building a cathedral. The worker who only sees the brick in his hands grows weary and bored. But the worker who sees the magnificent cathedral he's helping create, he finds purpose and energy in every single brick. He understands that today's small actions connect to something far grander. This perspective doesn't just materialize on its own, it's a deliberate choice. It means actively seeking new knowledge, reading outside your usual interests, and engaging with people who see the world differently than you do. It's about stepping back from your own small frame to take in the entire masterpiece. When you start seeing that bigger picture, something almost magical begins to happen. You start noticing possibilities where you once saw only barriers. This brings us to possibility thinking, the mindset that refuses to accept impossible as the final word. George Lucas is a brilliant example of this. When he was creating the first Star Wars film, the special effects he envisioned simply didn't exist yet. Industry experts told him flat out, it couldn't be done. But Lucas wasn't interested in limitations. He was interested in possibilities. He refused to believe it was truly impossible. So he went ahead and founded his own special effects company, Industrial Light and Magic, to invent the technology his vision required. That company didn't just make his movie possible, it transformed the entire film industry forever. Possibility thinkers aren't delusional optimists. They don't pretend problems don't exist. They simply believe that every problem has a solution waiting to be discovered. They ask, why not, when everyone else is saying no way. They grasp a profound truth. What you believe sets the limit on what you can achieve. Convince yourself you can't, and you won't. But believe you can, and you've already won half the battle. Consider Sam Walton, who founded Walmart. He once toured a competitor's store that was, by any measure, awful. The place was grimy, chaotic, and practically empty of customers. His companions saw nothing but failure. But Sam Walton, master of possibility thinking, left with a notebook crammed with ideas. He said, "Did you notice their pantyhose display? Best I've ever seen. We need to track down that supplier." He observed their selection of ethnic cosmetics was 3 times larger than his own stores. He discovered opportunity in the middle of disaster. That's the mindset in action. But a brilliant mindset alone won't get you there. You can dream as big as you want, but without discipline, those dreams stay exactly that. Just dreams. This is where the real work of thinking begins. It starts with focused thinking. In our constantly distracted world, the ability to focus has become a genuine superpower. Most people bounce from task to task, notification to notification, never giving any single idea the deep attention it deserves. Maxwell quotes novelist Charles Dickens, about whom it was said, "He did each thing as if he did nothing else." That captures the essence of focused thinking perfectly. It's about clearing away distractions and mental noise so you can concentrate with laser clarity. Think of a good idea as a seed. If you only water it for 30 seconds before rushing off to something else, it'll never grow. But give it focused time and attention, and that seed can bloom into something extraordinary. Dan Cathy, president of Chick-fil-A, takes this so seriously that he maintains what he calls a, quote, thinking schedule. He blocks out half a day every 2 weeks, a full day monthly, and several complete days annually, just for thinking. No meetings, no phone calls. Just him, some paper, and a pen. He knows the frantic pace of modern life will crush intentional thinking unless he actively protects it. So where should you aim this powerful focus? At your strengths. At the 20% of activities that generate 80% of your results. You can't excel at everything. Success comes from being exceptional at a select few things. Focused thinking is how you get there. Once you've got that focus locked in, you need a roadmap. This is where strategic thinking enters the picture. It's the bridge connecting where you stand today to where you dream of being tomorrow. Most people plan their weekend getaways more carefully than they plan their entire lives. A strategic thinker, though, is constantly thinking several moves ahead. Strategic thinking breaks enormous, overwhelming goals into bite-sized, manageable steps. It asks the essential questions: what exactly are we trying to accomplish? Why does it matter? Who needs to be part of this? What resources do we already have? It takes something complicated and makes it workable. Henry Ford put it perfectly. Nothing is particularly hard if you divide it into small jobs. But even the most brilliant strategy can crumble if it's not anchored in reality. That's where realistic thinking becomes crucial. This one was tough for Maxwell to embrace. As someone naturally optimistic, he initially thought being realistic meant being negative. But he came to understand that realistic thinking isn't about expecting the worst. It's about being prepared for it. It's the solid foundation every great plan needs. Hope alone isn't a strategy. A realistic thinker examines a plan and asks, what could go sideways here? Not to crush the idea, but to strengthen it. They prepare for worst-case scenarios. This doesn't breed fear. It builds confidence. When you've already thought through the worst that could happen and have a plan for it, it stops being frightening. You feel secure. Disappointment is just the gap between what we expect and what actually happens. Realistic thinking closes that gap. So we've shifted our mindset and built disciplined processes. Now, where do those breakthrough ideas actually come from? Welcome to the world of creative thinking. Many people assume creativity is something you're born with or you're not. Maxwell completely disagrees. He argues that creativity isn't about being totally original. It's about connecting things that haven't been connected before. It's taking existing ideas and mixing them in fresh ways. Even the greatest artists, like Leonardo da Vinci, learned from masters before them and built on earlier ideas. Creative thinkers treasure ideas. They're constantly gathering them from books, conversations, random experiences. Then they play with them. They ask, what if? They're comfortable with uncertainty and don't worry about looking silly. They know creativity demands a willingness to fail. Behind every brilliant idea lie 100 terrible ones. Creative people just don't let the bad ones stop them from searching. One of creativity's biggest killers is telling yourself, I'm just not creative. Believe that, and you've slammed the door shut before even trying. Another killer is fear of failure. You can't discover new continents if you're terrified of losing sight of the shore. To boost your creativity, break out of your comfortable box. Pick up a book on something you know nothing about. Chat with someone in a completely different field. Challenge your own assumptions. But groundbreaking ideas don't only come from looking forward. They also emerge from looking back. This is the power of reflective thinking. Our culture doesn't really encourage reflection. We worship action above everything else. We finish one thing and immediately sprint toward the next. But reflection is what transforms raw experience into genuine wisdom. Mark Twain famously observed that a cat who sits on a hot stove will never sit on a hot stove again, but it also won't ever sit on a cold one. The cat learned something, sure, but it didn't gain wisdom. Reflective thinking works like a mental slow cooker. It lets your experiences simmer until you can extract the real lessons. After any significant event, success or failure, a reflective thinker pauses and asks, what worked? What didn't? What did I actually learn? How can I apply this going forward? This process gives you genuine perspective. It helps you recognize patterns in your own life. It builds your confidence because you're not just guessing anymore. You're learning from an ever-growing collection of personal experiences. Maxwell makes this a regular practice. He routinely reviews his calendar and journal, not to see what's coming next, but to reflect on what's already happened. In these quiet moments of looking back, good experiences become truly valuable ones. Up until now, much of this journey has focused on individual thinking, but the greatest thinkers understand they can't reach their full potential alone. This leads us to the final and perhaps most powerful transformation: thinking alongside others. It begins with shared thinking. The concept is elegantly simple. None of us is as intelligent as all of us together. When you gather the right people, something almost magical unfolds. One person's idea triggers another, which gets refined by someone else, until you've created something collectively that no individual could have built alone. Our culture, especially in schools, often teaches us to compete. We're graded individually. But in the real world, the biggest breakthroughs come from collaboration. Shared thinking is faster, more innovative, and more robust than solo thinking. It fills in your blind spots. You've lived through experiences others haven't, and they've lived through ones you haven't. Combine that wisdom, and you get a far more complete and mature picture. The key is assembling the right people. People secure enough to celebrate someone else's idea, who want the best solution to win, not just their own. When you create that environment of trust and cooperation, you unlock a level of thinking that's simply impossible to reach alone. And this leads to the ultimate form of thinking, the one that brings the deepest satisfaction: unselfish thinking. So much of our world revolves around me, my success, my ambitions, my happiness. Unselfish thinking flips that script entirely. It asks, how can I bring value to others? It's about shifting from taking to giving. This isn't just about being kind. It's a profound secret to living a fulfilling life. As the saying goes, we cannot hold a torch to light another's path without brightening our own. When you focus on helping others succeed, your own success follows in ways you never could have orchestrated. Think about the firefighters on September 11th who ran into those burning towers. They weren't thinking about themselves at all. Their thoughts were entirely focused on saving others. That's unselfish thinking at its most heroic. But it doesn't need to be that dramatic. It can be as simple as mentoring someone younger, really listening to a friend who's struggling, or putting your family's needs ahead of your own desires. Unselfish thinkers enter relationships looking to help the other person win first. They understand that win-win partnerships are the only kind that last. This type of thinking doesn't just build successful careers, it creates meaningful legacies. Finally, all these different thinking styles need to aim at something. They need a guiding star. This is bottom line thinking. Now, bottom line usually makes us think of money and quarterly reports, and for businesses that matters. But Maxwell uses the term in a much richer sense. Your bottom line is your ultimate purpose. It's the primary result you're actually trying to achieve. For Frances Hesselbein, when she took over the struggling Girl Scouts of America, the bottom line wasn't about fundraising targets or membership statistics. She identified the true bottom line: to help a girl reach her highest potential. That single, crystal-clear purpose became the filter for every decision. Should they modify their programs? Yes, if it helps girls reach their potential. Should they recruit more diverse volunteers? Absolutely, because it helps more girls reach their potential. This clarity of purpose completely transformed the organization. Every activity has a bottom line. For a parent, it might be raising a compassionate, independent adult. For a teacher, it might be igniting genuine curiosity in students. Bottom line thinking provides ultimate clarity. It tells you what truly matters and what's just noise. It simplifies your decisions and channels all your energy toward what actually counts. When you weave all these skills together, when you break free from following the crowd, see the whole landscape, sharpen your focus, plan strategically, stay grounded in reality, spark fresh ideas through creativity and reflection, and amplify your impact through collaboration and generosity, all while staying locked on your true purpose. You don't just become a better thinker. You become the architect of your own destiny. You stop being a leaf tossed around by whatever wind happens to blow and become the captain of your ship, steering toward a destination you've chosen yourself. And that, Maxwell teaches us, is what real success looks like. When we step back and take in the full landscape of John C. Maxwell's work, what truly strikes me about how successful people think is its refreshing simplicity. In a world that loves to overcomplicate the success formula with elaborate theories and flavor-of-the-month life hacks, Maxwell brings everything back to the one thing we actually control completely: our own thinking. The most powerful insight for me isn't in any single thinking skill among the 11, but in the overarching truth that quality thinking is a discipline. It's not some talent you either have or don't. It's a muscle you deliberately build. It's a daily, intentional practice. Just like an Olympic athlete trains relentlessly, a strong thinker commits to the process every single day. They carve out sacred time to think. They actively seek people who challenge them, and they refuse to settle for lazy, borrowed opinions. This perspective is incredibly empowering, especially when you're starting out. It means your future isn't determined by where you are right now, your current grades, or what anyone thinks of you today. It's determined by your willingness to engage in the challenging, rewarding work of thinking well. Another beautiful aspect of this book is how it reframes what ideas actually are. We often imagine great ideas as rare lightning strikes of genius. But Maxwell reveals they're not. Great ideas result from a process. They emerge from collecting good thoughts, refining them, expanding them with others, and connecting them to purpose. Your mind isn't some vault that either contains treasure or doesn't. It's a mine. And if you're willing to dig consistently, day after day, you will strike gold. So how can you start applying this immediately? Let's keep it practical. First, schedule actual thinking time. It doesn't need to be 3 full days like Dan Cathy. Start with just 15 minutes. Find a quiet corner, silence your phone, and grab paper and pen. Ask yourself one good question. Maybe it's, what's the most important thing I need to accomplish this week? And what's one tiny step I can take toward it? Or, what's one thing I learned yesterday? And how might I use it today? Just 15 minutes of focused, uninterrupted thought can bring more clarity than hours of distracted busyness. Second, practice shared thinking with just one person. Next time you're stuck on something, whether it's a school project, a personal decision, or a creative challenge, don't just spin your wheels alone. Intentionally reach out to a friend, family member, or mentor you respect. Don't ask them to solve it for you. Instead, say something like, "I'm working through this, and I'd really value hearing your perspective." Listen more than you talk. You'll be surprised how someone else's viewpoint can reveal doors you didn't even know existed. Finally, end each day with one reflective question. Before falling asleep, instead of mindlessly scrolling, ask yourself, what was the best thing that happened today, and why did it matter? This simple reflection habit trains your brain to notice the positive, extract lessons from daily life, and cultivate genuine gratitude. It transforms your days from a blur of activities into a series of meaningful lessons. These small habits, practiced consistently, are the seeds from which a powerful thinking life grows. That was our journey through How Successful People Think by John C. Maxwell. We've covered the core ideas today, but I'll be honest. A summary is like looking at photographs of an incredible meal. You can see what's on the plate, but you can't actually taste the flavors. The real nourishment, the real transformation happens when you experience the book yourself. It's in those quiet moments when a particular story or simple phrase resonates with you in an unexpected way. This summary is your map, but the real treasure is discovered on the journey of reading. If anything we've explored today has sparked curiosity in you, pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just about information. It's an experience that can genuinely shift how you see yourself and your possibilities. You'll find the link in the description. Also, if this summary added value to your day, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps me know we're creating something worthwhile together, and it ensures you won't miss our next exploration of another transformative book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing together.